AITAH for telling my husband that he absolutely ruined the birth of our child. Hi, everyone. Our daughter is now 8 weeks old, so obviously this whole argument has gone on a very, very long time. We both have been holding grudges, and neither of us think that we are wrong. My husband does not know I am posting this, so I am going to keep it as anonymous as possible. So when I got pregnant with my daughter, my husband started in immediately telling me that I should have a home birth. I really do not know why he was so adamant on it, but he was. At first, I brushed him off and told him I would think about it because I was only 6 weeks pregnant and the birth seemed so far off. Of course, it came quickly, and my husband would literally speak over me at doctor's appointments when my doctor would ask if I had a birth plan. This caused a few arguments between us in those 39 weeks of pregnancy, but I never really changed my mind. Eventually, my husband's mother sat down and talked to me, and she told me all of the reasons why they did not want me to go to a hospital for the birth. I expressed my concerns about, safety of the baby and myself, but just like my husband, she brushed me off. I ended up telling my husband that I would take myself to the hospital when it was time, and that I did not want a home birth. He acted as if he didn't hear me. We met with a doula, who was also very pushy. I felt overwhelmed and not supported at all. I was 36 weeks at that point. So when I went into labor, I was 39 weeks and I absolutely begged my husband to take me to the hospital where my doctor is. He wouldn't. He spoke to me condescendingly and called the doula instead. I was in labor for about 3 days, active labor for around the last 22 hours. I cried the whole time. I just felt something was wrong. I was scared, and oftentimes they left me alone. The doula told me that if active pushing and labor reached 24 hours, I had to go into the hospital. I remember thinking that I could not decide which was worse, staying in labor for another 2 hours or having my baby right there. When she was finally out, I don't even remember wanting to hold her. I just remember crying out of relief. Obviously, I am okay now, but I did not have a good experience. On my first appointment after birth with my doctor, she was very shocked I had the baby. She was concerned. I was so upset. I told my husband that he absolutely ruined it for me. I truly never want to go through that again. I hear mothers say that they forget all the pain the second they have the baby, but I didn't. I love my daughter so much, but it was horrible, and it was entirely his fault. So I told him that several times. He rolls his eyes every time and tells me how mothers are strong, and how I am not trying to be strong. I told him that if we ever have another baby, which he wants, that I will never do a home birth ever again. His response is, "We'll see." I cannot possibly be TA here, can I? Everyone around me is acting like this is so normal, but it's not. Is it? And here is the second story. AITAH for telling my husband that I would have never agreed to have his child if I knew he would go back on our agreement. Advice needed. I, 36F, am a neurologist, and I absolutely love my patients and my job. I believe there is no greater honor in life than being able to help others. The road to my medical degree was not easy, and it was paved with many rejections. I was a troubled teen in high school, and I didn't get accepted into any colleges my senior year. I had to work my way up, starting with remedial classes at my local community college. When I finally got into medical school at 26, I was absolutely thrilled. I met my husband, 37M, in my 3rd year of medical school. We have been married for 4 years now. My husband works in marketing, and I make 3 times his salary. From the beginning of our relationship, I was very upfront that I was unsure about having biological children. My dream was always to adopt from foster care, and my husband seemingly understood this. However, after his friend had a baby boy last year, he began to really press me on having children. I was initially very against this idea because I was just beginning my career. I wanted to wait a few more years before revisiting the topic of children. In August of last year, I found out I was unexpectedly pregnant due to a condom breaking during sex. I was initially considering an abortion, but after many heartfelt conversations with my husband, we decided to keep the baby, and he would quit his job and stay home until our daughter was old enough to start preschool. There were several factors that went into our decision to have him stay home with our daughter. I make significantly more money than him, so financially it just made more sense. I am in the first few years of my career as an attending physician. After 4 years of med school and a 4-year residency, I am just starting to practice on my own, whereas my husband has been in his career for 15 years. I was very clear I had absolutely zero desire to stay home and be a housewife. I respect stay-at-home mothers, but my work is my life, and I would go crazy at home all day. This just isn't a lifestyle I want whatsoever. Finally, I am not comfortable putting my child in daycare until she is old enough to express herself verbally. As a victim of a molestation when I was young, I just do not trust people enough to leave my daughter in the hands of strangers when she would be unable to report abuse/neglect. Our daughter is 9 weeks old today, and I am preparing to return to my practice in a few weeks. This weekend, I left my husband alone with our daughter while I attended a medical conference out of state. The conference was amazing, but when I returned home, my husband began acting weird. Today, when our daughter was napping, I pressed him to tell me what was wrong. He absolutely broke down and said he doesn't think he can do this. He expressed how trapped, alone, and overwhelmed he felt all weekend. He now wants me to extend my maternity leave and is talking about trying to get his job back. This made me freak out, and I asked, "Well, what will we do with our daughter now?" He responded by suggesting I leave my practice and work from home. I said absolutely not, and he suggested daycare. At this point, I just lost my shit and screamed, "If I knew you were going to back out of your promise to take care of our daughter, I would have never had your child." I know I completely overreacted, and I would never trade our daughter for anything. I love her so much. But I am so upset with my husband, and I'm not sure how to move forward at this point. Like and follow for more.